what is the best case you've ever heard against extreme ownership? And what's your response? Or alternatively, are there situations where extreme ownership is the wrong answer? If you've never heard an argument against, let me propose two. Okay, 1. Extreme ownership focuses too much on achieving victory through focus on strategy and tactics.
Let me, before you even go there, I got to ask that question at the muster. Is there such a thing as too much extreme ownership? And I said, well, yes, there is actually such a thing as too much extreme ownership. For instance, and I actually broke it down to the fact that there's two types of extreme ownership that you're going to have, internal and external. Internal is I own everything and I know that, but I'm not sitting here telling everyone, right? External is, hey guys, I'm going to own this. This is me. This is mine. So you can easily see from there where you can overplay your hand of external extreme ownership. For instance, Echo, you're in charge of this project that we're doing. I want you to do it like this because I own it. Right. Like that's obviously wrong, right? So if I'm trying to get people to do things, if I'm trying to use decentralized command and all I'm telling everyone is like, this is my project. I own it. Echo, you do this. This is your part of the project, but the project is mine, right? Does that motivate you in any way?
No.
Okay, so we're not going to do that. That would be too much extreme ownership. It would be too much outward extreme ownership. Now, so what I want to do is I want to say, Echo, dude, this is your project. I'm going to step back, let you run this thing. I think you've got a really good idea and vision on how this is going to work, and I think you could actually do a better job than I can do. So here's the goal that we're trying to accomplish, and if you just come up with a plan and tell me how you're going to execute it, I'm standing by, right? Now you're like, oh, Jocko trusts me to do this? That's pretty cool, right? Yeah, that's awesome. So now we have a good thing going. So that's where I'm going to keep my ownership internal. I'm not going to project it on you, to keep it internal. Now, where this flips is the project fails. And clearly, the example now becomes crystal clear. Because now, if I use external ownership, and I'm saying, I should use external ownership. And when the boss says, hey, Jocko, your team failed on this mission, I'll say, you know what? We did. I made some mistakes here. Here's what I did wrong. Here's where we made the wrong investments. I didn't allocate resources well here. My fault. We're going to get it fixed next time around. Won't happen. Okay, that's cool. I'm now correctly using excessive extreme ownership to take ownership of the project that you actually screwed up.
Sure.
Now, obviously, the wrong thing would be, hey, Jocko, this project failed. And I say, oh, that's because Echo dropped the ball on this. He didn't get this done in time, and Echo's got issues over here. Now, that's not good. I don't want to use that. I'm keeping my ownership internal. I'm being lame, basically. So, yes, the argument against extreme ownership is, yes, if you take too much ownership of a project and you're not using enough decentralized command. That's why there's a dichotomy between those two. There's a dichotomy between extreme ownership and decentralized command. And if I use too much extreme ownership when I'm trying to execute decentralized command, it's not going to work right.
Yeah.
Now, once a mistake happens or there's failure, that's when you step in and take ownership. And by the way, you should have taken ownership all along to make sure that the project didn't fail. But these things happen. You don't win every single time. Don't care who you are. Now, he gave a couple examples. I'll let you proceed with the question, good sir.
Okay. He's going to propose 2 examples. Okay. Extreme ownership focuses too much on achieving victory through focus on strategy and tactics, but not assessing whether a war was worth fighting in the first place. For example, maybe you prioritize and execute and cover and move and institute decentralized command to become the leading buggy whip manufacturer in the country right before Henry Ford releases the Model T. Or maybe you built the tightest, sharpest, most aggressive sales team in history, but the product they're selling is preying on the weakness of poor or ignorant.
Okay. So this is fairly simple. And in the book, Extreme Ownership, I believe chapter 3 is called Believe. And that is, you got to believe in what you're doing. And part of believing in what you're doing is understand why you are doing and what you're doing and how it is beneficial in the world, right? So, for instance, both these examples would fail the test of believing in what you're doing. Yeah. They would fail the test. Anyone that was in the transportation industry at the turn of the century and would understand that the horse and buggy, was doomed when they started seeing reliable cars come out on the streets. And somebody that truly exercises extreme ownership would step up, would adapt, which is another key concept of extreme ownership, and lead the transition from buggy whips to this new technology of cars. So it's okay. It's not, you're going to step up. You got to make changes. That's part of ownership, is looking and assessing. The other example where you're leading extreme ownership, you're leading something that is preying on weak people, well, then that doesn't pass the test, right? That doesn't pass the test in believing what you're doing. Because if I'm like, hey, you know what I'm going to get out there and do? I'm going to get out there and prey on extreme people. That's what I'm going to do. Now, of course, if you have a person that's a sociopath or doesn't care about others, is only out for themselves, and they exercise extreme ownership in order to accomplish an evil mission, well, yeah, that's going to be bad, because people that take ownership of things can make things happen. And if their cause is evil, then that's going to be bad. It's going to be a bad situation. So, the thing that's inherent in extreme ownership is a true understanding of the mission and belief of the mission, and the knowledge that you're doing the right things for the right reasons, which is why these two examples are actually non-issues. Mm-hmm. And then he gave another example. What's example number 2?
Yeah, example number 2 is the time and focus commitments required to practice extreme ownership come at too high a cost to your family, who didn't sign up for this, this mission. Right. And in the end, the gratification of having achieved your objective won't be worth what you've given up in your personal life. Perhaps substantial ownership, quote unquote, is a better fit for most people.
Okay, well, let's just not forget that extreme ownership is not just about business in any stretch. It's about life. And you have to own the outcome in life. And that inherently includes balancing between what you do for business and what you do with your family. Now, I'll tell you that we hear all the time about how extreme ownership actually saved marriages. Not hurts them, but saves them. And, the husband will stop blaming his wife, or vice versa, and look at themselves and see where they can improve. Instead of blaming your wife for what's going wrong, you say, oh, maybe it's not cool that I do this particular thing that I know annoys her. Right? Take some ownership of that. They take ownership of the relationship and the problems in the relationship, and they fix them instead of making excuses or passing the blame. So extreme ownership is going to help that family. And if you listen to the podcast with JP Donnell on it, which is number 46, JP is taking ownership of his marriage, which they had actually were divorced at the time, and applied the simple laws of combat, right? Simplify, cover and move, and got his marriage back on track. And so extreme ownership is not 100% focused on business. It's focused on life. And the dichotomy is also there that I talk about all the time, that you have to balance all the opposing forces. It's a chapter in the book called The Dichotomy of Leadership, right? Mm-hmm. You got to balance these opposing forces in your world. Now, one of those opposing forces is balancing the pull of your family with the pull of your work. And yeah, you can go too far in one direction. You can go so far in one direction that you lose you can go work so hard and do such long hours that you lose your family. Mm-hmm. You can also do the opposite, where you don't do enough at work and you focus so much on your family that you lose your job. Mm-hmm. Which one of those is a good outcome? Yeah. Neither. That's why you have to balance. Neither one of those is a good outcome. Yeah. That's why you have to balance. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it's one of those things too. I've seen this happen with friends of mine that have gone on sort of a breakdown, kind of downward spiral in their life. Mm. I think this is problematic. People start having trouble with their marriage, right? And they quit their job. Mm. And they think, oh, now I'll be able to spend more time. But now all of a sudden they don't have any money. And it turns into a disaster. And I always say, look, man, think about this. Your job is how you provide for your family. So let's have a plan before we move in this direction. You got to balance. Because if you throw everything, like I just said, if you say, okay, my job's, I'm too stressed out and I'm just going to leave my job and just focus on my family. Now you've got no income. You got a whole new level of stresses coming at you because who's going to put the food on the table?
Yeah. That kind of like one guy's, they stop working out after they get married because, I got to focus on my family, my kids, and they stop working out. But, health down,
Health down.
Yeah.
Energy down.
Yeah.
You become a low energy father. We don't want that.
That's bad for everybody.
That's bad for the whole family. So yeah, that's another thing. If you got your wife or your husband is saying, hey, you're working out all the time, or I don't like this. Say, hey, here's the benefits.
Yeah.
Do you want me to be around for an extended period of time? You want me to be alive past 60?
Yep.
Do you want me to be healthy? Do you want me to be able to defend our family should there be some kind of an encounter?
Yep.
I know I do want to be able to defend this family.
Yep.
So yeah, I got to spend a little extra time on the gun range. Yeah, I got to spend a little extra time on the jiu-jitsu mat. Yes, I'm going to work out. I'm doing that. You think I'm doing it for me? I'm doing it for us.
For us, yeah.
I'm doing it for us. Now, of course, you got to balance that too because you can go overboard there too.
Yeah. So
you got to be careful.
Like working out is not to be confused with going to the gym.
There's a huge separation there.
Yeah, so guys will go to the gym or even the jiu-jitsu mat because let's face it, there is a big element of social, that social component in jiu-jitsu academies and stuff.
What do you mean?
When you go to jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of hanging out.
You mean talking to other humans?
Talking to other people. Yeah, your friends. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So some people, they'll be like, hey, I'll go to jiu-jitsu. Meanwhile, new baby, whatever. Hey, I'm going to jiu-jitsu. But then they'll roll for the hour and a half, and then 3.5, 4 hours later, they'll come home and be like, hey, I was at jiu-jitsu. I was doing jiu-jitsu. Here's the benefits. And be like, yeah, you did the jiu-jitsu for an hour and a half. The other, for however long, you were cruising with your friends in the lounge, drinking acai.
Yeah, don't do that.
So don't confuse the two, is what I'm saying.
You got to have balance.
Or use it. You know how people will use it? Well, I got to go, but meanwhile.
Yeah. That's good. And, these questions, what I liked about him is he's saying, hey, basically put the extreme ownership attitude into the UFC cage and let's see how it does in these problem examples. So I think it does all right.
Or just get your home gym,
Yeah, I definitely recommend the home gym.